So we're all used to the small tractor beam, but how does this one here? The two-handed tractor beam is now available in the refineries across all of Stanton, and the EPTU, so 3.21.1. It is a little glitchy. It does, its motions are a little off, and it also has a thing talking about battery, but boy is it a beautiful piece of equipment. It is the next tier up from the multi-tool with the tractor beam attachment. And I gotta say, it is quite a looker, and it's quite a useful tool. Now in this video, we're gonna kind of go over what it can do and what it can't do, and for starters, set some expectations. So a reminder that tractor beams are not allowed to move things around that are shielded. So you can't really use this as a PvP weapon unless it's something that does not have a shield. And in general, um, it's a little buggy, and especially when you're far away from an object. The closer you are, the more strength it has. There's the basic multi-tool with the tractor beam attachment, and you can see the new containers, which, by the way, actually do have internal storage, and you can move them around the ship. But you can see how they both can manipulate these objects, and there's no real difference between the multi-tool and the two-handed tractor beam for tiny, small containers. Where the difference is like when you're moving something very large, like a vehicle or a much larger container system. So these little external containers allow you to add storage. They've also added containers that are designed to hold cargo, proper SCUs. So you have these localized containers. They're like microsievert measured containers, like the size of them. So remember, there's two sizes where there's a proper SCU, and then there's like thousands it's measured in for stuff that you would normally put into your suit, like ammunition or medical supplies or something very small and basic. So do bear that in mind when you see the numbers. You'll see huge numbers on these containers, and then when you realize that. So let's jump over to a nice little example here of how you can actually use a container in a practical way, where you can bring it upstairs in the M2 into the kitchen area, and once these areas are usable, you could stock it with food, or you could just leave the container there, because people would expect to find food and drink inside a kitchen. So even though the game doesn't have those operational yet, you could leave that there, and it's probably going to be there when you get back. Of course, storing it in the ship would be probably the safest thing at this moment, but it's nice to point out. So let's start our two-hand tractor beam testing with something big and ambitious. So this is a Pisces with its systems taken offline, and we will take a look at what it can do. Now, I want to point out that you cannot use the two-handed tractor beam at this time inside Armistice, so if you are testing it yourself, notice the placeholder mention. Be sure to leave the Armistice zone. That's most likely the reason you cannot pull it out if you're trying to find out what's going on, like why your gear isn't working even though you've mounted it. By the way, it mounts to a long gun point. So if you have like a light armor, medium armor, something like that, you can put it on your back. It does not just mount to your side like the smaller units. It's big. And that also means that it takes up a very vital spot, but you can see the value of it. And currently, its price is at 19,000 UEC inside the Refinery store. And at the end of this video, I'll have a video showing where to get it in the Refinery store, if I still have that B-roll. But here you can see it moving around, and it notes the size of an object. So the Pisces is too strong for this thing to just send it up into the sky, but you can skid it across the ground very easily. And all I'm doing is locking on and then using the scroll wheel forward and back to pull the object further towards me and further away from me. Be careful with this, because you could lock onto something and bring it back to you extremely quickly, and then it could crush you. It did not happen to me, thank goodness, but I was constantly like, what's the deal here? How am I going to get this going? And I did try to skid it up the side of that mountain by the end of this shot, but it just didn't work out. It just kept kind of fighting me, and it eventually just stood still halfway up the hill. And I tried it different ways. I tried it different rocks, but let's just keep moving. I'm going to show you what it does work on very well. So this is just a regular Cyclone. They're all in the same size category, so I would assume that this would work on all of them at this level. I did turn it off as a precaution, so it may work or not work based on if it's turned off or on. And you will see that the two-handed tractor beam absolutely just completely can move this thing around. You could throw this at a ship flying by or something if you wanted to have some fun. And of course, the Cyclones are just so overbuilt. There's no issues at all with it. Now, this is me attempting to switch back to the small tractor beam to see what'll happen. And you'll notice that basically it just kind of sits there. It does that little nudging effect, like it's trying to do something, but it doesn't do anything at all, whereas the two-handed tractor beam can absolutely chuck this around. So it's all about the size of the vehicle class. It doesn't seem to care if it's a ship or a ground vehicle. It seems to care of what class it is, and is it have shields disabled and other types of stuff disabled. That seems to be all it cares about. Specifically shields, I know for a fact, is one of the things it cares about. I just wanted to point out just a little bit more. It can really throw things around quickly. It can go fully over your head, and there is some references to like long-lasting batteries and such in the flavor text. And they have said in the past that tools will need batteries and recharging stations. And so just bear in mind when you're throwing around these objects, if it's above your head and you run out of battery at that moment, it won't be pleasant. So just be very careful with these pieces of equipment, especially as they get more and more developed. And in general, just try to be careful. You'll notice that the Spartan, which is a large class ground vehicle, absolutely doesn't even get pushed around by this tractor beam. So if you are concerned about people manipulating your ground vehicles of your group, do note that the Cyclone can be chucked around by it when it's super close, but the Spartan just kind of laughs even at the tier 2 handheld two-handed tractor beam. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing. It constantly goes back to a size class topic. So yeah. Pisces can be pushed on the ground. From what I've seen, the cutter also can be pushed on the ground by this thing, possibly even picked up a little bit. But a ground vehicle like the Spartan simply is just so much mass. Its category is just too high, size 4. It just simply does not go anywhere. I think these sizes are probably going to be integrated into the wiki. This is me speculating now. They'll be integrated into the wiki where every vehicle in the game will eventually get marked up, and this will be just a category you'll look up in the wiki. Oh, can I move it or not with a size 1 or size 2 tractor beam? Size 1 being the multi-tool with the attachment, and then size 2 being the handheld tractor beam, the 19K one you pick up from the refineries anywhere in the system. I feel like that's a fair compromise. We need some sort of semblance, so you don't have to test every single vehicle in the entire game. You know right away if it's going to work with your tractor beam or not. But yeah, this is kind of interesting that I think a lot of people think ships automatically equal bigger, better, etc. And in this case, some ships weigh less than the Spartan, or in lower category at least for the tractor beam tech than the Spartan. As you can see, we're heading through the refinery, and we started at the elevator of the location, headed all the way through the refinery's main areas. Don't get distracted by the left or the rights when you go in there, and then you go into the mining support center, and inside the kiosk in this store, there is your tractor beam. Now, there's a couple ways to go about this. If you just for the record, for any newer style kiosk, there's a 1 of 3 you'll see at the bottom there. Sometimes it's 1 of 2, sometimes it's 1 of 1. But when it's more than 1, what you can do is hit the +1, and it'll show you more items. But in this case, I'm searching for like any other new content. So is there new armors? Is there additional equipment? Is there attachments for the tractor beam? Which, by the way, in the system, it marks it as attachments none. So it is entirely possible they left the door open for having a tier 2 tractor beam that has its own attachment system. So far, that is not the case. So far, you just pick up the tractor beam and that's that. It could also just be a placeholder for batteries and such, but it is worth noting. Also, it's listed as a gadget, but it doesn't come up in gadgets. It's under personal weapons, just like the Pyro Multi-Tool. But you'll see it here for 19K, the Max Lift Tractor Beam. And notice the class is gadget. Once again, even though it's class as gadget, it's not under gadget. Go to personal weapons and you'll be able to pick it up. And it does take up a rifle slot. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So, yep. That's how you get it. That's where you get it from. Be careful with it. Have a good time. Right now, it's once again on the EPTU, which just had another patch as of Saturday. November 5, or should I say November 4, Saturday. And there a few of the glitches and errors and such were fixed. There were some passes done on the SRV and the C1, but there is still quite a few crashes to desktop. But I will give credit where credit is due. Every crash to desktop I had today was recovered, where I could literally just log back in and it would catch me up right where I was standing. It's a little frustrating. I know they were trying to work through it, and I give credit to CIG for working through the weekend on these, which is awesome, but it is what it is. You can note that I'm picking up the old school legacy stuff for the tractor beams as well. So the SRV has had its noise fixed. You can hear it's not screeching at you in this clip, but it doesn't make much of a noise right now. It is a little buggy at best how it works on the SRV. The C1 tractor beam is working phenomenally still for what it is. As a reminder, the SRV1's claim to fame is that it can quantum as well when it's doing its thing, and also it is a stronger, higher size, I guess you could say, tractor beam, but the ship versions of these are a little different than the handhelds. More testing will be required. So I was just kind of screwing around on the EPTU with different players and such, trying to see if I could at least just connect, like see if the interface will connect, and what are the warning systems if somebody's shielded or whatnot. So I didn't go flying off with somebody's equipment, so there's only so much of that. Also, you'll it is what it is. This ship is truly unique. I really appreciate the SRV and what it is, and I think this thing's gonna really be the dark horse of this upcoming IAE. That's really stands out, and it has deeply impressed me when I didn't think I would be impressed by it. It is an incredible little grasshopper.